Moving on, we got the 76ers, another team that made a lot of moves this offseason, right? They moved on from James Harden last year, moved on from Tobias Harris, um, cleared up a lot of cap space, right? They went out, got Paul George. They re-signed Tyrese Maxey to a big deal. I feel like Paul George, if he can just do anything more than Tobias gave them on a night in, night out basis, they would be exponentially better. Because when you look at it, Lawrence, all we asked from Tobias from the past, we've been doing this for almost 2 years now. We both just asked, hey, Tobias, can you just give us 15 and 8? Some nights he could, but on most nights he could not. So if Paul George can just, if he can just do that, he doesn't even have to do, Clipper Paul George and give you 20 and 25, 20 and 6. If he can just give you 50, if he can just give you 17, 18, that's a win here. I feel like, he's up there in age. Can he, still give you 20? Yeah, but I feel like on this team, when you got a young guy like Tyrese, got an MVP candidate in Joel, you don't need to be the old school Paul George where you have to lead your team in pretty much every statistical category. You got two guys that can already do it for you. So if he can just be competitive, play good defense, and then just show up when you need him to show up, Sixers are easily the second best team in the East. I hate to say that, but there's no way you can't look at the Sixers and say they're not the second best team in the East. But I feel like they still have a trade or two up their sleeve. So if they could bolster the depth a little bit more, I feel like that could easily push them into the 60 win category. But for right now, I got them at 56 at least. Second seed in the East. They're gonna be very, very good.
So I kind of think the opposite that I did against the Knicks. Even though this team has a lot of moving pieces, I just feel like the most important part is the two biggest scorers from last season are still there, and all they did was get
Yeah,
rid of, like you said, the dead weight that couldn't pull through. Um, and I
that's
honestly
true.
just another way to look at it is not going to say anything bad or wrong towards Embiid, but like it allows him to be a little bit more clutch at the end of a game, knowing that you got Maxi and Paul George kind of taking the eye off of you. Because another reason is Maxi has such an easier time at the close out game, looking more clutch because he has Embiid, and people always are their eyes glancing towards Embiid because there's an easy way he can just toss the ball over to him and just straight dunk. So people are always got an eye looking over to Embiid whenever Maxi like moves the lane. So unless Maxi's getting a screen, and even when he's taking the screen, everyone's afraid to pick and roll to Embiid, then he gets his open on the three. So Maxi's got it figured out. Now I think Embiid's gonna get it figured out because you have Paul George. It's not the dead weight of Tobias Harris. Please get us 15. Paul George quickly and easily get you 20, and you're barely even asking him to get you 20. I just need you to be relevant late in games.
We got the baby Raptors. They're not gonna be good. Honestly, not too much to say about them. They do got a good young core. They got Quickly, they got Gritty Dick, they got R.J. Barrett, who surprisingly has looked good in Toronto. Maybe because he's from Canada, maybe he feels more comfortable playing there. But he's looked honestly really good in for the Raptors. Barnes, he's getting better every single year. Hopefully, this is a breakout All Star type year for him. Quickly, same thing for him. Hopefully, maybe a year removed from being traded, he'll become into maybe a 20 points and 6 assists, 7 assists type guy, maybe more. Davion Mitchell, who got moved from the Kings when they decided to bring in DeMar, maybe he can find a home here. So they got a lot of young pieces. No one should expect them to make the playoffs or anything. Now, play in, I feel like if everything clicks for them and everyone, maybe is ahead of schedule, maybe a play in is where they're at. But, I just wouldn't expect anything too big from them. They're definitely rebuilding. Now, are they bad enough for the Cooper Flag sweepstakes? I don't think so. I think for that to be, possible, they need to sell. And I feel like they're not in the spot to sell because they're honestly, they're probably like an all-star player away. And then eventually Scotty Barnes is probably gonna be an all-star in a year or two. So you get two all-stars on your team, it's a whole different conversation. So I feel like they're not in the mode to sell at all this season. It's more of just let's see what we got. Let's see who breaks out this year and move on from there. So
You know what? Like everything you're saying about all these guys finding a new home in this pot,
yep.
it kind of rubs me in two ways, right? Either this team is going to break out and be a low seed, and you're saying playing, I'm also saying playing, but I'm thinking more around like the 8 or 9, just because it's a bunch of
Okay.
because it's young veterans. Like, if you look at the team, it's a lot of young veterans. Like, they've been around long enough
Yeah.
that they know the game, and they're also old enough where, like, I kind of prove something now, or I'm gonna people are gonna forget about me. Like Davion Mitchell, like he's gotta do something. Otherwise, he's just that other guy that was on the Kings. And he was just that other
Mm.
guy. Bruce Brown, yeah, he was just that guy. He was on that championship team, but like he was like the fifth guy. You know what I mean? And like, oh, Kelly Olynyk. Yeah, they got Kelly Olynyk, but like it's kind of old and washed at this point. Now, there's guys that kind of have to prove a point that like even if they want to get trade value, like we're talking about trade value here. So I want to get traded off this team because I don't know it's like um, it can sustain. It's
Yeah.
in my eyes, it's like the Utah Jazz from last year. This team is, in my opinion, is going to be kind of like the Utah Jazz of last year, right before the trade deadline, and it's going to be going back and forth in their heads. Do we blow it up? Do we let it ride? Do we get something for the future? Do we add on to what we already have for the future and get rid of some vets or younger vets? Like Jacopo, like easily someone who could get traded at the deadline. Yeah, he's good, but like a championship team who needs a center to make the push for the end, they could want him. And you give me some scrap pieces and a high draft pick, yeah, take him. Or I need a veteran on this team, on my team who can, who knows how to play in big moments. All right, here's a Bruce Brown. Now give me a bunch of picks. I think the Raptors are going to be last year's Utah Jazz, but I think the difference between the Raptors being Utah Jazz this year than last year is they're in the East and it's easier to move into the East than it is the West.